Hello, chickadees. Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Daisy with Daisy Does It, and I'm headed to work. It's been a long time. I took a break while I was moving. I finally closed on the house, and so it's been a little over a month since I have posted, and a lot has gone on. It was a whole mess. So I said, let's do a story time. I did a post not too long, well, it was a while ago. I did a post and asked if anybody would like to hear how it was purchasing a home during this volatile market, because if you are in the US, you know that bidding wars 2021 up until like mid 2022 have been ridiculous. And I'm sorry if the lighting is weird. I am driving right now because the sun is all over it. Anyway, so bear with me because the sun is now like straight ahead of me. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm gonna take you back all the way like March 2021, maybe March, April 2021. I knew that I was looking to purchase a home within the next year, and I started cleaning up my credit. I had like a few small collections on there for like $100, $200, you know, things like that. So I started doing side hustles just to pay those off, and then I had some other things on there that were not correct, so I ended up having to dispute it with the credit bureau, and those actually came off because those were not correct, and I was able to get my credit score up probably about 80 points, maybe. Enough to get qualified for the house, because with where I was, I could get qualified, but I was going to have like a super high interest rate. And you know, during that time, the interest rates were still pretty low. They were like around 3%. 3.5%, which is awesome, right? So I got it cleaned up. I finally felt comfortable enough to pre-qualify or pre-approve for a loan, and I actually went through Rocket Mortgage, and they ended up sending me like 8 different lenders, and there was this guy who called. His name was Steve. And I just connected with Steve. Steve was awesome. He sounded like your dad. If you have a vision of what your dad would sound like, that was Steve. Steve was not in the he was in the US. He was not in the state of Georgia, but he was licensed to assist me in the state of Georgia, even though he was like in Missouri. So Steve and I started working and looking at numbers, looking at what I could do, and I was trying to get the house on my own. And I actually was able to, kind of. So with my student loans and everything, they were able to use like how much I was currently paying. They were able to use the income-based repayment. So even though my federal loans are on deferment due to like the COVID, the COVID deferment, I was able to use the income-based repayment plan amount to go towards that, and so I was able to get approved for a loan. However, I needed to stay probably around 230 or less, which $230,000 for a home is a decent amount of money if you live in certain areas. When I first bought my first home in 2015, I was able to purchase my first home for $88,000. So if the market was there, excuse me, I would have like a very nice house. But even that house is now listed for $180, and I sold that back 2018. So I started looking, and I could not find anything in that price range in my area. Whether it was just too high or it had too many repairs that was needed. So like, even if it was let's say it came in at $225, I would need a whole new roof or all new flooring, or I would have to, like, it was for an investor to buy, really, because it would be a full gut job, and I did not have that kind of, one, I didn't have that kind of loan, and then two, I don't have that kind of cash flow to start flipping houses. So yeah, that was not an option. So at this time, my mom said, hey, well, it worked fine last time. I don't have anything going on. Why don't you put me on the loan, and you can use my income to increase your qualification amount? And I said, okay, that's fine. So we go and we get her pre-approved with me for a loan as a non-occupant co-borrower, meaning that even though she's on the loan, so she's fiscally responsible for the house if I stop paying, but she does not live in the house. So basically, I'm buying it for me, but she's helping. So that changed the pre-qualification amount from like $240, well, like $230 to $350,000. I can find a house for $350. I didn't want to go that high because as we were looking, houses are slowly creeping up. Okay, so this is now maybe June, July 2021. So we start looking, and I said, okay, well, let's try to stay in the 250 range. Didn't want to go over 250. House came on the market for $205 in my, like, right across from my neighborhood. I was like, let's go get it. We went and we toured it. I put in an offer that day. Like 30 minutes later, I had already told her, I was like, look, go ahead and write it up. When we get there, if it looks okay, let's go ahead and outsign while we're there to put in the offer. Listed at $205. We offered $220. So $20,000 over listing price, and did not get the house. Okay. So I'm frustrated, but I'm like, okay, this is my first one. I know it's a bidding war still. We'll try again now. But at the same time, I'm not paying $50,000 more than what you're asking for a house just to win a house. Like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. So fast forward, another house comes on the market. It is a 3-bedroom brick townhome. It was the cutest little thing. It was not very large, but it was cute. It was well kept, and it was in a decent area, in my area. Came on the market for $215. Mind you, yes, I'm approved for more, but with the way the bidding wars are going, I know that even at like $215, $220, it's gonna go for like $230, $240. So at $215, we offered $240. Still didn't get it. Still didn't get it. We were the first offer. The agent told us we were the first offer, and she said she would give it to her person. And mind you, I have an FHA loan, so it's the government-backed loan. The person came in who purchased the house at $250 paying cash. I can't beat that. I can't beat cash. Can't beat cash. So then, so I lost that house. This is now like August 2021. I'm looking, not seeing anything, or it's like already at 230, 240. So I know by the time we get done, it's gonna be like 280, you know, with the bidding wars and stuff. And a lot of these houses, because they knew that the houses were going like crazy, people were not doing anything to fix their houses up. I would go see a house, and we went to go see this one house, and it was a previous renter. The renter was still in the process of moving out. Two things happened. One, he was like, you can't look at the master closet. I have guns. I have too many guns in there. You can't go in the master closet. You are not allowed at all, no matter what, to go in the master closet. And I'm like, that's kind of like one of the pivotal things. I'm a female. I want to see the master closet. So the fact that you don't allow me to see that doesn't sit right with me. And then like, yo, you have this many guns? That's a little scary. We don't live in a bad area. It's not like you're hunting, so why are you, what? Anyway. So, that was one. And then two, I guess he had a dog. And the dog peed on the carpet downstairs. And instead of him like cleaning it and professionally like carpet cleaning and all this stuff, he just cuts the like 12 by 12 area of carpet out and puts his ottoman on top. So now you have a spot on the floor that's just subfloor. And it was purchased as is, so I would have to redo all the carpet. And in the background, the backyard was like uneven. My daughter wouldn't even be able to go outside and play in it really, because I'd be scared that she'd fall. So it was a lot. Like, I love the house, I love the neighborhood. It was across the street from my current neighborhood that I was renting in. So I was like, oh, this would be perfect. The outside looked great. And then got into it and was like, what? Who does this? Nobody was painting. Nobody was upgrading fixtures. Like, if the house was like 15, 20 years old, you still had old fixtures. No, like nothing, no new appliances. People just were not, because they knew they were able to get top dollar without doing any of it. So, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that and then I have to go buy everything. Or you took everything out the house, no, well, of course no washing machine, but I have my own. No refrigerator, no stove, no dishwasher. Like, you literally yanked it out the house. You see where it was, but it's not there. And then you still want top dollar for that. I was like, no, that's not how it works. So needless to say, like, I kept looking at houses, and was just like, this isn't it. So fast forward to like the end of September, I see the house right next door to me comes on the market. And I know it was funny because me and my husband were having talks of getting divorced, and my family was like, well, why would you want to move next door and he's planning on keeping that house. I was like, well, technically, that would be an ideal situation because, you know, he can do his thing, I can do my thing. We're in 2 separate houses. But if Emma goes outside to play, I could be like, hey, keep an eye on your child. Or, you know, hey, she wants to spend the night with you, I could just walk outside and see her go over there. So I was like, oh, that wouldn't actually be a bad idea. So I put in an offer on the house. I think the house was listed at $220 maybe. And I did like $255. And I went high, but you know, and I knew the houses in the neighborhood were going for like $260, and I knew it was priced lower because I knew they wanted a bidding more. And I came up high. I got outbid. It was well, it's not even that I got outbid. Her bid was less than mine, but she was able to close in 10 days, all cash. I met the lady. She moved in before we even moved out. A very sweet lady. And I was just like, what? But she told us her husband had passed away, and she was able to use his insurance money to pay cash for the house. I can't compete with cash. So at this point, I'm frustrated. I'm just so frustrated. This is like the 5th or 6th house. The market looks crazy. The interest rates are slowly ticking up, so now it's going to cost more money. And and of course, inventory is low. So even when you do get a house on the market, 50 people are putting it up. Like, still at this point, you have 50, 60 offers on the house before they make an offer. I mean, make a decision. And it's just like, I don't know what to do at this point. So there's this neighborhood in my area that has been building homes since we moved in, and they are townhomes, and they are very nice. And we had previously tried to purchase one back when I was pregnant, but we kept getting outbid, or like the amount of money that they wanted my dad to put down, because he was going to buy the house for me and I just buy it from him later on, just so he could do it faster as an investment. And it didn't work out. But we love the neighborhood. Well, I loved the neighborhood. My dad loved it because of the security features. So the neighborhood has 24/7 security that patrols the neighborhood. It is in a nice area. It's close to the highway, which I love because I do take the highway to work. It's close to all the food. The schools are not the best, but it's close to where my daughter was already in school, and now she's in a new school, and she's only 5-7 minutes away now. I take 1-2 turns and I can get to her school. So it was an option, right? So they were getting ready to start a new phase, and I reached out and I asked the agent, I said, hey, well, what's the process to get this house or get one of the houses in your new phase? And she said, well, let's put your name on the wait list. And when we get ready to do lot assignments, I will email you. And when I email you, I need you to write back as soon as you can, because it's going to be basically first come, first serve. So you'll need to tell me which lot you want, and then once I get them confirmed, you'll pay $1,000 in earnest money, and the house is yours. I was like, oh, it's no bidding, no none of that. She's like, nope, just $1,000. You gotta just let me know what you want. Okay, that I can do. Hey, Mr. Copperman, you're just chilling in the cut. All right. So she sends me the email probably about 2-3 weeks later. She was like, it's time. It's go time. So she sends a copy of each of the floor plans, and she sends a copy of the map of where like the streets will be and what number townhome. And then the corresponding townhomes, so they're in a row of like 6 homes. Okay, so each little block of townhomes is 6. And each block basically closed on the same day. So you had underneath the block of townhomes, you had a proposed closing date. And then each townhome had its own lot number. And then you had to go to the bottom of the sheet. And based on the lot number, it would tell you which floor plan it was going to be. So you couldn't choose like so you could choose your location, you could choose your lot, but your lot needed to correspond to the floor plan that you liked. The floor plan that I chose is one that was open. And she was like, oh, I'm so excited to see your floor plan. Not many people in the neighborhood have this one. And I was like, yeah, because I've probably been in about 10 homes in that neighborhood. Never seen that floor plan. It is fully open in the downstairs area. I'm pretty sure I've shown pictures on my Instagram. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, what are you waiting on? So, but she was like, yeah, not many people have this floor plan, and it's going to be gorgeous. You're going to have this huge island. Your kitchen's going to be fully open. And I was like, yeah. So with a 2-year-old, that's ideal. Having full access to, like, you know, if I'm in the kitchen doing something, I can see whatever she's doing. The kitchen faces out to the living room and the dining room. So I have full access to her. And then the upstairs has a loft area, which I'm going to use as a play area. So I was like, this is perfect for me and my daughter. So I said, yes, I want this lot, this floor plan, with this floor plan. She goes, okay, it's yours. She was like, you were the first person to write back to ask for this lot, so this is yours. I said, cool. I said, so how much is this? Because she goes, it doesn't, mind you, I haven't said anything about the price. All I know is I like the lot and I know what street it's on. And she goes, well, we don't have pricing yet. What you mean you don't have pricing yet? She was like, well, it's going to be somewhere between $250 and $280. So I'm signing up for a house. I don't know how much it is. Oh, okay. That's fine. I guess this is how this works now. So probably about 2.5 weeks later, they call. They get the $1,000 earnest money to hold the lot. Still don't know the price. And she goes, okay, well, now it's time for your contract. So she sends it out. And she sends me the price. And the price of the house is $280,000. It was like $280,000 and $280,839. Exact. And I was like, burr. Ma'am, you said around $250, $260. How are we at $280? And she was like, well, the majority of upgrades are already included in the price. Now, you'll have a design appointment where you get to go and pick your finishes and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of the upgrades are already included. Who told you I wanted that? Who told you I wanted to do that? But you didn't have an option. This is the way they're doing them now, and this is the whatever. Mind you, We are pre-approved for $350. At the time, with the interest rate, they told me my payment would be about $1,800 a month. Okay. I was paying $1,600 for rent. Right there, if you follow my channel, I was paying like $1,500, right at $1,600. And so I'm like, okay, $200 more. It's $50 extra a week. That's not that bad to own a house. And what all it includes, it is bigger. So I'm okay with that. Well, so I go under contract. This is the end of October. So when's the expected completion date? May 2022. Okay, that's fine. Not too long. So it's like 7 months. Okay, so we can do this. So they raise interest rates again. Now my projected payment is like $1,900. Okay, well, a little bit more. Not too bad. Didn't go up that bad. So still waiting. They're building. They have an incident where $10,000, I think, of lumber is stolen from the property. It's not my problem. But I feel like it had to be another builder to do that, because no one really has, like, you can't go get $10,000 worth of lumber. I mean, this is like framing, roofs, like big pieces of lumber, not just like individual slats like you could put in your own car. This is like huge, like you needed a industrial size truck, like an 18-wheeler to come pick up this. And turn my car off. And they stole it. And so they had to reorder all of this stuff, and that pushed the closing date back from the end of May to the end of July. Was I disappointed? Yes. Very disappointed. Frustrated because I'm still seeing like, oh, the feds are going to increase the interest rates again, what does this mean for you? And I'm like, okay, well, if you increase the standard interest rate, that means my interest rate is going to increase too. So I'm like, I need this house to be done, son. And they do. They increase it again. Probably about 2 more times before I close. Rewind. So we sign the contract, and I get the notification that I have to go to the design appointment. Now, mind you, this is my first time building my own house. My parents built the house that I grew up in when I was younger. I was probably we moved into that house when I was in 3rd grade, going into 3rd grade. So I don't remember if they went to a design appointment. My mom said they did it. They would come to you and you do it there and but I knew that was a thing. Like, you go and you pick out your stuff or whatever, but I had never done that before. And it was a good experience. I will say that it was a little weird because I feel that, this is just me talking, I'm not in the real estate industry, but I feel that if you are going to do options for stuff in the home, you need to have at least 2 options for each thing. Like, each base level needs to have 2 options. If you're going to give us an option, actually give us an option. Don't be like, okay, this is what it is, and if you don't want this, then you got to pay this, this, and this. Like, so they have it based off of levels, and then the levels determine how much it is and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, for example, you only got one choice of floors. Base level is this one choice of floor. But when you got to grout, you had like 30 choices. You only had one choice of cabinets, and if not, you had to pay extra. But like the granite countertops, I was okay with that. They had like 2 or 3 options at base, and then you could go up a level and you get like 5 choices, and then up another level and you got like 8 extra choices, because that's when it comes into like the quartz and all that. Granite was standard. It was like 3 different colors of granite, and so I was fine with that. At least give me 2 options. The carpet, I was fine with that. You had a lighter color, and then you had this like weird dark tannish color, which I didn't like. But you at least gave me an option. I just did not like that for probably 2 of the main things that like pull your house together: your floors and your cabinets. And this is not just like the cabinets downstairs. This is, well, in the kitchen. This is cabinets all the way through your house. And then your countertops, the granite countertops. It's not just in your kitchen. This is in your bathrooms and everything. So I just felt like you needed more options that did not require you to pay out of pocket. And then I also did not like the fact that, mind you, I told you, I was approved for $350,000. You go to the design appointment and you pick out your finishes, and they're like, oh, well, whatever you decide, you have to pay 40% today. Well, that would have been nice to know before I got there. And then you also don't know how much the stuff is until you get to the appointment. So you can't like pre-plan in your mind, like, okay, well, if I do, an upgrade on the cabinets because I don't want this color cabinet, I need to go to the next level, and the next level is this starting price, and then I want them painted because I want it white cabinets. And then they charge you like an extra $1,200 to paint them. So instead of me paying $0 for cabinets because of the base level, now I'm paying like an extra $2,500, and now I got to pay 40% of $2,500 on Wednesday. Like, what? So there's no really way to prepare, and you don't know. And I mean, I knew that, going in, I wanted minimal upgrades, but I did not realize that some of the things that I thought would be standard or you would have an option for, you would not. So did I want the cabinets that I have? No, I did not. I was fine with my floor. Well, no, I didn't like the floors. The floors originally were like a reddish tone, like almost like a deep cherry color, cherry wood. I didn't like the floors, but that was the only option. I was not paying extra for the other options, because flooring is expensive. But it ended up being that my floors ended up being on back order when it was time to do it. So they gave me another option. But then it ended up being that they gave me 2 options because they were on back order. And one of the options I liked better. It looked more, I wanted a farmhouse type layout. And it looked more rustic farmhouses, house-ish. So it was like it was darker. It still has like a red undertone, but it's way darker. So I liked it. But still, the cabinets are just the cabinets. What is it called? I don't remember what the cabinets are called, but they are not as dark as I was thinking. But I wanted white cabinets. I wanted dark floors, white cabinets. They're not white. And then I wanted some different tile, but I was not paying for the tiles, so I only did like a minimal upgrade of upstairs. I like changed the layout of them, which I'm glad I did because it made it really cute. I did a diagonal pattern, and it was the craziest. No, downstairs in my kitchen. And there are 12 by 12 tiles, but instead of them just being regular, I turned them to like a diamond shape, and that was an upgrade. I'm like, really? Instead of going like this, you're charging me. Same tile. So that was something that they did. And then what else? Let me get inside my office. I'm gonna come back. Well, hello party people, we are back. I was planning on doing the next section when I was in the office, and today just kind of got away from me. So I'm in the car again. I am driving home. So I now have 45 minutes to chit chat with you. I'm not going to take 45 minutes. All right, so we left off and I was talking about the different options with purchasing the house and things. So fast forward, May comes and goes. My closing got delayed because of the stolen lumber. So I got pushed back from May to July, end of July. And at this point, it was fine. It worked out actually for the better because the lease on my rental home was ending in September. September 30th. And so it would have been just August, or what I thought was just August, and I thought it was September 1st, September 30th. So it is what it is on that. So a couple things that occurred within like the 60 days, May to August, right? So my floors were on back order. When they needed to put in the floors were on back order. So they ended up sending me an email and was like, hey, you have 24 hours to make a decision. Your floors are on back order, but for us to be able to meet the deadline for closing, you have to make a decision within 24 hours. And these are the two options for the floors. And I said, oh, well, how convenient. When you had 7 months, only had one option, but because we're in a time crunch, now I have two options. But it worked out better because I like them better. They're darker. So I chose the flooring. Everything else with that, it was fine. So now it was just financing, finishing up the house and stuff, and getting the financing finished. And during this whole process, probably around, it had to be April or so, I got a notification. I got a phone call, and it was from a Missouri number, but it wasn't Steve. It wasn't my loan officer. And so I answered it, and I was like, hello, can I help you? And it was a male on the phone. He was calling from the mortgage company, and he goes, hi, I was just calling to let you know that I'm now your new loan officer. Steve is no longer employed with the company. And I was like, what? Why? So unbeknownst to me and unbeknownst to Steve, they fired him and gave me someone else. And if you are familiar with like real estate and stuff, their jobs are commissioned. So when they close on a house, they get money. And so I'm like, wait a minute, like, how are you just gonna fire somebody midway through and just give their cases over to somebody else? He had done all the hard work of getting all my paperwork for the most part. So, you know, whatever. I ended up hearing from Steve probably about a month and a half, because he reached back out and he was like, hey, I know you heard what happened. They let like 50% of the company go. They downsized, and I was part of that layoff. But I'm with a new company. If you're interested and you still want to work with me, I can still help you out. We're kind of in a time crunch, but I can, you know, I can do what I can. And I was like, at this point, it's like June, early June. And I was like, I can't, you know, at this point, I'm not going to change and rerun credit and go through this whole process again, because it is super annoying of how particular underwriters and loan officers have to be for the process. It's not a process that I take lightly or would wish on anyone. Like, I wish home ownership for everyone, because it is a source of stability and accomplishment, because it is a lot of work to not only get the home but maintain the home. But the process, I don't wish that on nobody, because it's not fun. So I told Steve no, I wouldn't be needing it, but I said, you know, I have a lot of friends who are in real estate, so I will give his information to them so that I could be a referral for him. I would not necessarily recommend the company that I was working with, just because it was just a lot. But so fast forward, we're getting down to the last minutes, last few weeks, and probably the beginning of July, I get a phone call from my loan officer, and he was like, hey, just want to let you know that we can't use one of your sources of income. And I was like, well, why? Actually, no, two of my sources of income. And I said, well, I'm not understanding. If you are a 1099 employee, you can do 12 months of income and divide it into that. And he was like, yeah, but then we got to show this and this and that. And he was naming off all this stuff, and he was like, I don't think it's going to work. Not that he tried it and the underwriter said anything. He said he didn't think it would work. So one, I'm frustrated because you're holding up this process. And then of course, my husband wasn't on the loan. We did not formally get divorced. We did not have a divorce decree, so I couldn't use like child support or anything, because there was no formal child support. But what they were originally trying to do is, because of the way we paid bills, since it wasn't a joint account and he was sending me money, they said the record of his transactions would count as income. And then he was like, oh, well, no, let's not do that, because it's voluntary, and because it's voluntary, then we would need to do all this other paperwork. So basically, it's not that we couldn't use it. We could have. And if you are in a situation where you have voluntary child support, you have an agreement with your child's father, you can use that income for housing. It's just you have to go through a few extra steps and documentation and get a letter written and do all this other stuff. And my loan officer literally, hate to say it, I just feel like he was lazy. Pure lazy. And so he was like, no, well, that's going to be too much, and blah, blah, blah. So I said, you know what? Okay, fine. So we used the income from my full-time job. We used the income from my dad's business, which I'm a 1099 there too. So I don't understand why, like, Amazon and stuff was like a big deal. I don't know. But it caused a lot of friction, and he was like, well, the only other thing we can do is to pay off some more stuff, but you don't have much more stuff on your credit. And I was like, other than like big student loans. And he was like, you don't have much stuff. And your DTI is too high, so I don't see how we can make this work. First off, you're not going to come 2 weeks before closing and tell me it's not going to work when the last 7 months it's been okay. So I said, what do I need to do? He was like, okay, well, let me look at it. So he goes, well, we can reduce some of your DTI, as much as your DTI as we can. So he goes, your self-lender. I said, well, I can take that away. That was only like $100 and something. I think it was like $125. He was like, well, we can get rid of that. That takes off $25 out of your DTI. And then he said, I had an Affirm that was like $700. And I had already had a plan for that. I was going to take the Self when I paid that off. That was $500 and something. I was going to put the $500 and something that I've been saving up through Self, put that towards Affirm, and then just pay off the $200. So, hold on. Sorry, y'all. I thought that was my nanny calling, but it was UPS dropping something off, and I got a notification on my phone that the doorbell was pushed. So he tells me to pay off Affirm. He tells me to pay off Affirm, pay off Self. So I do all of that, pay that off. Actually, I paid cash to pay it off, and then I basically refunded myself with the Self. So that was like $400 right there. And then he was like, well, it's still not enough. It's not enough. So the only other thing for you to do would be to sell your car. That's the way I make money. That's the way I get to work. I swear I'm going to be able to finish this story. Sorry, that was my mother calling. And I'm pretty sure my nanny's going to be calling in a minute, so I'll probably have to stop again. Anyway, so he tells me that I need to sell my car, and this is maybe 2 weeks before it's supposed to close. And I'm like, what? So I made an appointment with like CarMax and a couple of different things, and I was like, okay, push come to shove, I can just sell my car and then I can get something else. That's what my husband said. He was just like, and now my nanny has called. So, alright, we're going to finish the story before I get home, I promise. So I made an appointment with CarMax. I had a conversation with my husband, and we were like, look, if we need to sell the car so we don't lose the house is more important than the car. We'll do what we got to do and go from there. So made the appointment, but then I remembered that I could just sell the car to my husband because it was financed in my name. So if I sold it to my husband and we just changed the financing over into his name, then, and he's not on the loan, then we would be able to keep the car. We wouldn't need to change anything over. I still could have the title in my name. It's just the financing would be in his. And my husband now has Navy Federal, and the way they do it, they just cut you a check. It doesn't matter if you're going to a dealership or if you're going to a person. You tell them you want to buy a car, you tell them how much the car is. They literally print you out a check. It has your name on it, and it has who the check is going to, and you just hand over the check. So I was able to get, and he was able to do that in like one night. So the very next day I went to Navy Federal, cashed that $12,000, put that in my bank account and paid off the Acura off of my credit. So it looks like I have no car, but I do. It's just not on my credit anymore. It worked out for the better though, because now my car payment is only $400 a month versus the $565, $545 or whatever I was paying. So it's now cheaper, and it's the same amount of months. So the interest rate went down. upset about that, but it was a lot of headache. It was a lot of back and forth. And then I called him back because I was like, hey, I just remembered, if you have, and this is for anybody, so if you have 10 payments or less on any line of credit on your credit report, they do not count that into your DTI. So that money that I paid to pay off a firm and to pay off self, I didn't have to do. Could have kept that money in my pocket. So when I told him that, and he went back and looked at it, he was like, I am so sorry, you are correct, I didn't even think about that, I didn't even realize that it was less than 10 payments. And I was like, yeah, well, you just had me basically take $700 out of my bank account, even though I got it back, well, part of it back, but you know, it was like almost $1,000 out of my bank account. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, well, ain't no reason for you to be sorry now, it's done. So we get to the week before closing, and he's on this, oh, we need to make sure you got to do it this way, we can't have any mistakes, make sure you do this, make sure you do this. So I'm being very specific in my actions. I'm making sure that if he sends me anything or if he asks for anything, I'm getting it sent back within, you know, a couple of hours, if not, you know, right away. And I'm, you know, he's now corresponding with me through my work email so that it automatically pops up and I see it in my face during the day. Like I'm that hyper focused on getting this done and on time. And so Thursday before closing was supposed to be on like a Tuesday. It's the Thursday before, and he, you know, we talked that day. I'm like, hey, I'm waiting on my closing disclosures, and he's like, oh, well, I gotta send you this paperwork, and once we get the paperwork sent, you have to sign it, and you have to sign it that day, and I was like, okay, well, go forward. We talk on Friday. This is, you know, he's like, everything looks good, we're good to go. I'm like, okay. So then he calls Monday. No, he was supposed to send it on Thursday. He calls on Friday, and he was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what? And he was like, I need you to be sitting down. I don't want you to be upset. I'm like, what is going on? What now? What now? And he was like, it's a mistake on my end. I forgot to send you this piece of paperwork, and you're not going to be able to close on time. Excuse me. He was like, this piece of paper has to be signed 3 days prior. I was supposed to send it to you on Thursday so that it could be Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Well, Thursday, Friday, Monday, so we can close on Tuesday. I didn't send it to you, so there's no way we can close on Tuesday. Do you know how pissed off I was? He was like, well, the closing only has to be delayed by 1 day, so just get the lawyer's office to delay it 1 day. So I call my agent, who has to call the builder and talk to them, and then they have to call the lawyer's office. And my complex, like literally everybody closes within like 2 days. So if it's the 6 houses, they'll be like 3 closing on 1 day and 3 closing on the next day. And so, and mine was supposed to be like at 10 o'clock that morning. So I was like the second closing of the day. No, I was the first closing of the day. It starts at 10. And there were no other appointments. They were full. It was supposed to be me, 2 other people on that day, and then the next day it was all 3 people. And so it messed everything up, and so they weren't able to schedule me in. So my closing got pushed back until August 3rd. Well, why does that make a difference? Okay, it's just a few days. It went from August 27th to August 3rd. Well, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, except for when you close on your house, you have prepaids, and prepaids include things that go into your escrow, your homeowner's insurance, like your property taxes and all this other kind of stuff, right? The difference between closing on the 27th and closing on the 3rd is that now your prepaids are not for 2.5 or 3 days. It's now for like 27 days. So where I was going to have like $500 worth of prepaid, no, not even that. It was like $300 worth of prepaids. Where I was going to have $200 to $300 worth of prepaids, I now had to have about $1,500. And I ended up having to pay more in HOA dues because they made me pay the initiation fee of $500, which I was already expecting, but it was supposed to be a prorated amount of like $50, and then the next month I should have, had to pay. So I might have had 1 month of HOA, so I might have had to pay $150. But no, because of the way that it fell, my first mortgage payment will not be until October. I closed in August, so August and September I had to pay HOA. So I had to pay the $500 initiation fee. August, September, and October HOA fees. No, August and September. So I had to pay 2 months versus me only having to pay 1. So that was $300. So that was $800 right there. And then the interest payments was like $1,200 for interest of the property taxes and all that stuff. And then they made me pay a year worth of HOA. I'm tired. A year's worth of homeowners insurance. So that was $700. No, $500 and something. And then they made me pay 3 months of prepaid homeowners insurance in escrow because I wouldn't have a payment until October. So I ended up having to not only out of my pocket pay more, but my family ended up paying more. My mother gifted me with half the down payment. My father gifted me with the closing costs, but I did not feel it was right I let him do like the lender fees. I didn't do like the prepaids and stuff. I paid out of pocket, but that made a big difference because that was almost like $2,500 more than what I was expecting to pay once everything added up. So it is what it is. And then when we moved into the house, I started realizing certain stuff did not come with the house that was kind of like, hey, look, we need to kind of order this kind of stuff because it's not that it was uninhabitable, but certain conveniences, I know third world problems, but certain things that you're used to, like towel racks or toilet paper roll holders, the house came with none of that. No towel racks, no door hooks for towels, no toilet paper roll hooks, and I'm like, what? So those were extra expenses, and then we got furniture, and then we got all this other stuff. So it's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And then now tomorrow, my car is going into the shop. It's going to be about $2,000. So, needless to say, I won't be purchasing anything. Not that I won't be purchasing anything, but I will be working a lot of part-time job work stuff, and I'm looking for a teaching position, online teaching position, to kind of balance out some of the things that are going on. But this market has not been fun. The good thing is my house appraised for about $15,000 to $20,000 more than what I'm paying for it, so I do have instant equity. The housing market is starting to slow down, which is so convenient that it's slowing down a month after I close. Am I in love with my home? Yes, I love my home. I love the layout. There are some things that I do not like about my home, or things that I wish were different. Like my master closet is way smaller than I feel it should be. And I feel like they did not maximize the space in the master closet. And yeah. It's just, so now I need to basically create, not necessarily a custom closet, but I need to do stuff to be able to fit everything. And I can't even, unpack stuff because I have nowhere to put it. But it's caused us to be very intentional with what we keep, what we don't keep, where we put things. And then coming back in the same bedroom with my husband, like, we are learning to be a couple again, if that makes sense. We had been living in the same house, but like separate. He was in the guest bedroom, I was in the master bedroom, because we were planning on getting divorced. And so now it is us, trying to actually be one unit and function as such. And so it's different. It is very different. But yeah, if you have any tips, if you have any tips or tricks or things to help out a closet, please let me know in the comments below. I'm in the house, and it's a lot going on, and I've been gone for way too long, but I plan to be back. And I've spent way too much money, and we've been kind of just wilding out with money and stuff. So we'll see how things go and go from there. And I hope, things calm down from here. But I'm back. I've missed everyone. If you made it this far, please just let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not a follower. Because if you enjoy budgeting and money and stuff, it's going to be a lot, because now I have used credit cards to purchase stuff. So now I have more debt and less. It's different debt, more but different debt. So until next time, I am 2 exits away from home. So I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.